When you're a WCBS alumni, you stay forever, and Joe has been with us forever. He gives an idea to business that is totally different from just coming out with the numbers and what the stock market did today or yesterday and where it's going. Joe has insight like nobody I've ever listened to. I mean, it's one thing to turn on the radio or TV and listen to those numbers. It's another thing to listen to Joe. And boy, does he know how to moderate a panel. Here's Joe Connolly.
Thank you, Craig. And I will say this, I've listened to Craig for a long time. I think he is the most accurate weather forecaster because I'm telling you, I've followed it for a long time. I absolutely love these breakfasts. I get so excited to come here and talk with you and meet with you and hear the great stories. And we're going to hear some more today, and we're going to involve you in the program very quickly. First of all, I want you to know our panelists. Come on up, everybody. This is Milena. You'll get to know them a little bit better. Milena, Adam, Daniel, and Andrew. I have little name tags for you there. There's Milena, there's Adam, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Finally, we've always spoken on the phone. And Andrew Hazen. I want to get right to the popular WCBS small business poll because it has been very accurate. I've also followed that over the years because the information we get from you is not filtered through 16 departments on Wall Street. It's a much better reading of the economy. So we'll take our poll and then our panelists can jump in if they want, or I will introduce them and we'll go from there. Whose business is up over last year? Yeah, right. All four panelists. Good panel, CBS. It looks about the same, maybe a third. Some of you who raised your hands, the business is up. What business? What industries are you in? Over here. Right. What is it?
Marketing.
What type and for what sort of client?
Graphic design for nonprofits.
Oh, nice. Graphic design for nonprofits. You ought to know Rayanne Hevesy, and meet afterwards. She told me that she is now with the Long Island Center for the Learning running $2 million a year in programs in science and education. So you go meet Dr. Rayanne Hevesy, and she just got a $500,000 grant from somebody to do her good work. Over here, what business are you in? Business up. Life insurance with Mass Mutual. I started out in Springfield, Massachusetts, WHYN. Over here.
Book publishing.
Book publishing? I remember you. You publish books for prisoners or something? This is a niche, right?
Fantastic.
Okay, these couple publish books to educate prisoners so that when they get out, they have something to do and don't go back. God bless you. What business were you in before this?
Same business.
There's always been crime. Bratton said it the other day.
That's great.
You're never going to go out of business. You're going to have a continually renewing client line. You're an engineer. I knew you were right. You're an engineer. I was going to say, do some advanced ones for Wall Street. Never mind. Right over here.
Health insurance.
Health insurance. What type to whom?
Individuals and groups. Businesses.
To businesses.
Yeah.
You know what? When I hear insurance, my just eyes glaze over.
So do mine.
I wasn't focused on insurance this morning. We did a whole panel on insurance a year or two ago. I was all prepared for it that day. But now I hear on WCBS today that the companies with 50 or more employees, and there are some here, are going to have these new charges kick in, right?
January 1.
Are you finding a way around it, or what's going to happen?
Yeah, there are ways around it for businesses, commonly owned businesses, that you can offer benefits and it doesn't cost much.
And your name is?
Jeff Wiener, HKM Associates.
Okay, so if anyone wants to talk to Jeff. A few more, because this is actually the program we're going to do. Who's up? Oh, business up over last year, and then one more over here.
Hey, Joe. Larry Schweitz at CMIT Solutions. We're up 30% over last year.
Technology, right?
No, correct.
Would you come to my house? It's such a huge market, but you can't find people to I'm joking, but you can't find people to come to houses. It's a too small a niche. I mean, the Geek Squad used to do that. You don't even see their vans around anymore like you used to, at least I don't. What's happening in that residential market?
Yeah, you're right. Nobody wants to go to a house. It's too much trouble. We don't want to rip the carpeting because sometimes we're asked to move furniture. So we prefer to stay away from that market.
See, I've wondered about this for years. You come here, you get the answer. Right over here.
A big area of technology growth has been cybersecurity, trying to protect the small businesses from hackers, email attacks, internet sites that are infected, and then all the files get encrypted on the network. So our business has grown basically because small businesses are very reliant on their computers, and there's more threats to those computers nowadays.
What is your business?
CMIT Solutions, also technology.
CMIT Solutions.
Yep.
Wow, it's great that business is good for you guys. One more back here.
Okay, Icloud device management.
Meaning?
Arid books, meaning that we manage your device remotely using Oracle iCloud management platform.
Meaning?
Meaning that we will manage the apps on your iPad or on your Mac for you. So if you need us to help you at home with managing your device, we will assist you.
So you go to individual customers, not businesses, or either?
Yeah, businesses. So we provide a kiosk that houses iPads, and so we will place it in a waiting room for a doctor's office or a car dealership or a library or a school, so they will engage young children on the iPad.
That's a great niche. I think we contacted on Facebook, right? I talked to you? Was that?
No.
There's someone else here who's coming here who does something like that. That's a great niche, and you ought to just talk to the CMIT Solutions people because you could give each other leads. That's a great service. How did you get into that?
There was a need because of a child dropping the iPad, children at home.
In the doctor's
breaking
offices, right.
Breaking devices. And also a lot of libraries, they provide iPads to their customers. But oftentimes the iPad can get lost or it can be broken. And so many children want to be able to play with the device. So we just provide them a kiosk and a space so that they can be engaged.
How did you know there was that need?
Because my child or my client's child, they kept breaking the device, and the children kept,
Right.
toying, saying, I want it first, I want it. So in order to get them to settle down, he came up with the idea to create a kiosk.
I just think it's a classic great small business story. And what did you do before this?
IT management.
So you were in
Yeah.
IT.
Yes.
And the name of your business is?
AridinBooks.com.
What's-
Aridin, ARIDEN.books.
Good. That's a great story. Thank you. Speaking of, Milena Berry is the co-founder of Power to Fly, which is a new company that is finding good employees for businesses in a whole new model. And I'm going to go right to Milena because you said you saw a niche. Milena said to me so simply when we first met, well, we saw a need and we built a platform to meet it. And you saw the need for what led to Power to Fly. Would you tell us briefly about your business?
Right. So in a sentence, Power2Fly is a recruiting platform connecting the best companies from the innovation economy to the best women in tech. And I think what rings true to your story and what's similar to mine is that I was solving my own problem. before starting Butterfly, I was a chief technology officer, so very much in IT management for 7 years. And my team was all over the world. I was very lucky. The company I was the CTO for was a global nonprofit called avaz.org. They're like change.org. They do online activism, very different world. But the beauty of it was that a 130 people organization was working out of 6 continents. And not just my technology team, I was responsible for 30 people by the time I left. All of us worked remotely. Now, the beauty of that story is that while I was running a team across the globe, while I was one of those success stories of women in tech, how many of you have heard about the problem of women in tech, that there's not enough women in tech? Just one?
See, there you go.
Well, like it's everywhere in the news. You read about Google, what horrible diversity they have in their technology department. It's all over. Like thousands of organizations are now sprouting up to solve the mismatch of the tech and supply of the supply and demand in tech. And so I had 3 kids. That's the other part of the story I want to tell you. While I was a chief technology officer, and that was another proof to the point that women don't have to fall out of the workforce if if they want to have kids. Now, why I was able to juggle it all, everybody says, how do you do it? It's because I could work remotely. And that's where the niche that I found was that not only me, but a ton of other moms, millions of women around the world want to work in this new way, remote way of working. Companies need specifically women in tech. We're solving that niche problem of finding women in tech by offering them remote work.
Adam knows a ton about selling online. He is co-founder of PharmaPacks, and they sell health and wellness products online. He knows a lot about social media, a lot about selling online. That's one of the reasons we invited Adam. Could you tell us a little bit about your business and what your story is?
Pharmapacks.com, we have around 21,000 SKUs where we sell health and beauty aids, similar products that you would find in a drugstore. We sell them on our own website and in many marketplaces like Amazon. We're on Walmart, eBay. The list goes on, and we're starting to ink some additional deals where we find outlets and channels. We're currently shipping out over 14,000 orders every day from our warehouse, direct to consumer, 6 days a week. And our business has literally tripled. Last year we did around 31 million. This year, right now, we're at a run rate of 90 million. And we expect that to double by next year as well.
Where's that warehouse, 14,000 a day?
College Point, Queens.
Wow. How many employees do you have?
Around 200.
And how do you get the merchandise to sell?
We've created some proprietary algorithms and internal technologies that we've built on our own to accommodate being able to factor in the cost of shipping, the cost of products, the fees that come associated with doing business online. And we have a repricing system that changes within every 45 minutes.
You change the price of the product online every 45 minutes?
The product, not on our website, but in the marketplace.
In the marketplace.
Which are constantly moving, and there are new sellers, and inventory comes in and out. Our systems detect price changes in inventory and reprices it accordingly.
Do you buy from the same manufacturers the drugstores buy from?
We do. Distributors and manufacturers.
So you compete with the drugstores?
I guess.
Or do you sell to the drugs? Or do you run?
No, we don't.
You,
we
or
sell
you
direct
don't,
to consumer.
You sell direct. So, okay. All right. I want to go over here to Daniel. And as I've told people about your story, it seems to have really been one that people remember. Because Daniel, I believe, used to go to his dad's and his grandfather's medical office as a kid. He went to business school and has now reinvented his grandfather's medical practice into a modern healthcare company.
That is true.
You see, tell us about your business.
My grandfather was a physician for about 50 years, originally in Louisiana and then in Brooklyn, New York. And throughout his career, he always had patients who asked him for a home visit. And over the years, he tried to accommodate them as much as possible. When he was looking for retirement, instead of giving up his practice, I said, you know what, you seem to have an overabundant number of people asking you for home visits. This really seems to be a niche that needs a service that can help people who are homebound. And as I started meeting with people, I realized that everybody knows somebody who has a challenge in getting the medical care that they need at home. A parent, a relative, a neighbor, or somebody in the community who is not able to get out as often as they'd like and has limitations to getting the medical care that they need. So coincidentally, my father, who has a background in technology, joined us, and we developed a really robust program that incorporates community relationships and various services led by physicians and nurse practitioners that are able to service people at home so that they can access the medical care that they need.
How do they find you?
So we have 3 different service lines. One is working with hospitals that have a strong incentive to reduce the readmission rate. Right now, the country has a burgeoning senior population. By the year 2030, there'll be over 70 million Americans over the age of 65. 20% of people who are discharged from a hospital are readmitted within 30 days. So hospitals have a challenge of managing those patients who are discharged and trying to keep them out of the hospital, transitioning them out so that they get the medical care they need in the outpatient setting and not return to the emergency room. So by seeing them at home, we're able to make a dramatic impact on that population. So that's one product that we offer. The other is health insurance companies that are in a similar light looking to reduce the hospital utilization of their populations. So we deploy providers to help transition patients either from the hospital or just maintain them in the community. And the third is direct to the patient marketing. We advertise in the community, and as I mentioned before, everybody knows somebody who, whether they're homebound or just have limited access to ongoing care, and we are able to help them as well.
But this is fascinating because you get the doctors to work with you. They go to somebody's house. The doctor goes to somebody's house. That's what we see. But your clients are the hospitals and the health insurance companies.
Yes.
I mean, you can be Aetna. I mean, this is huge. You have a huge potential.
We are able to dramatically reduce hospital utilization, which is the #1 cost driver in healthcare. We're able to reduce between 40 and 60% of healthcare consumption in the costliest population. The people that we're treating are driving 60% of healthcare costs, and they're 10% of the population. So you have to go where the money is if you're going to address real healthcare consumption and the aggressive rate of growth that is consuming healthcare dollars in the United States.
So I know there's no such thing as an easy sale, but you go to a hospital, they must say, where do I sign? The possibilities of this model are just staggering to me because everybody wants to take costs out.
Yes, we're able to dramatically reduce hospitalization, utilization, and readmission. And in an age when hospitals and insurance companies are aggressively seeking ways to address this need, I think we have intentionally found ourselves well positioned for that.
So what's the problem, getting the doctors to work for you?
We do grow at a pretty strong rate of growth. We expanded from New York City to Long Island to parts of New Jersey. So we have a lot of different projects currently underway, treating thousands of people simultaneously.
And do the doctors work for you full-time or part-time?
We have both full-time and part-time providers.
And what is your biggest management, administrative problem in managing this growth and also growing beyond today?
So managing the various providers, working with the various insurance companies that we work with, we have a variety of staff that works in helping us manage the various products and services that we provide.
You have staff. How many employees do you have?
We have about 30 employees.
About 30 employees. And you went to the Cy Sims School of Business, right?
I did, correct.
And Cy Sims was a speaker at one of these breakfasts a long time ago. And he was a great speaker. And he was also a former sports broadcaster. We were talking in the newsroom the other day about some of the great points that speakers had made at these breakfasts in the past that some of us remember years later. And I'll never forget, we were down in Lower Manhattan somewhere, and Cy Sims spoke at the breakfast. And he had grown to about 30-something states at that time. And he opened as one shop in Lower Manhattan. And he talked eloquently about how your biggest challenge in business is opening your second store, your second location. because now your presence is reduced by 50%. By the time you get to opening 4 and 5 locations, you now have a vice president of operations. So he got around it 2 ways. He opened his second store across the street from the first one. And the first one sold shirts, the other one sold pants. And he ran back and forth across the street all day, and they never knew when he was coming. That was an example of one of the great stories that have been told, memorable, over the years here at these breakfasts. Andrew Hazen, I met just a couple of weeks ago, I thought. Till a gentleman came up to me this morning and said, I wrote you a letter about 10 years ago telling you that my son was going to be a great business person and you ought to have him on a panel. I looked at the guy's name, Hazen, Michael Hazen. That's Michael Hazen, Andrew's dad, right there. And I kind of remember that note. I remember that email saying, my son is going to be a great business owner and you ought to have him on a panel someday. So there is another great story to remember from these breakfasts. Andrew is the founder of Launchpad Long Island. As I understand it, you operate about 5 co-working spaces.
Correct.
But you also invest in your tenants, or some of them, or most of them?
Correct. We have 5 locations here on Long Island in less than 3 years. There's about 70 companies I call Launchpad home. Of those 70 companies, my partners and I have invested in 3 of them. eGifter in Launchpad Huntington, ProCedar in Launchpad Mineola, and Charity Weight in Launchpad Great Neck.
What do all these are they mainly newer companies in your 5 locations?
For the most part.
And what do the fast-growing ones have in common, Andrew?
They're technology-based, both SaaS models, so software as a service. They can scale very, very quickly. They're having problems hiring good tech talent here on Long Island, and they're looking to raise additional capital.
So they have very bright futures?
One of them is going to do $10 million this year, up from 2.6 last year, and just landed clients like Target, Williams-Sonoma, and Regal Cinema.
What do they do?
eGifter.
eGifter.
eGifter.com. So basically, the days of group gifting, the days of being on the soccer field at an audience, if they wanted to get you a gift for X number of years at WCBS, they'd collect the money, somebody would go to the store, they'd get a gift card, they'd give you the present. Today, through social media and digital media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, we now group gift online and then collaborate a gift using video and text gift cards. So if I wanted to give you an iPad, I basically give you a Best Buy gift card for an iPad, but if you already have one, you can now use that gift card to purchase something else. And companies are white labeling this. The big companies that have more than 2 million Facebook fans or more are white labeling the service to use it for
White
their own
labeling
products.
meaning putting their name on it?
Using their technology with their brand. So if you go to Target and you want to do a gift registry and get a toaster, you can group gift it using their technology.
So if I go to Target, we want to get, or let's make it we're getting a gift for a teacher. We go to PTA.org or something. And it says, oh, you can all team up here. That actually is happening at one of the Launchpad Long Island companies on their software?
Yes, eGifter.com at Launchpad Huntington.
And that's called white labeling it, right? That's
yes.
called white labeling it. So it'd be Williams-Sonoma or somebody.
Yes, Target, Williams-Sonoma.
That's a great example, again, of seeing a need, right? It's always such a hassle to get all these. Andrew helped us on the Facebook page for this event, and he put 4 topics that people could ask about. So before we go to the questions, I'll ask you for the audience about the 2 that drew the most responses. Should my business be using Instagram? And yes or no, or tell us about that, Andrew.
Sure. So I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'll parlay the second point about the Facebook as well, because
right.
it really depends. A lot of people ask, should I use LinkedIn?
And advertising, Facebook
Right.
as paid ads,
Right.
not just using.
This is all about using it as a platform for marketing or drawing more consumers into your company. So I'm frequently asked, should it be LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, what should I be using? And the question really is, what's your business? Because if you're selling insurance, Instagram's not that sexy for photos for people 18 to 35 years old. But if you're selling, vegetarian products, or you're selling gadgets and gizmos or cell phone products, it might be. So it really depends on your business and what you're trying to attract. LinkedIn is highly effective. I heard whether it was cybersecurity or insurance or graphics for nonprofits, you can go on to LinkedIn and target companies saying, I want to go after nonprofits with 20 to 100 employees in Massachusetts, and I want to show them my ad. And you're only going to pay for a click. Same thing with Facebook. Facebook is one of the most powerful advertising platforms. How many people use Google AdWords? How many people use Facebook advertising?
Very
Very few.
Not many.
I mean, you'd be shocked to know on Facebook, you can dial down and find out who is a Mets fan in Cincinnati, Ohio, that might want to buy a custom Mets bobblehead. I mean, you can't do that on Google AdWords. You can buy the word bobblehead in Ohio, but you can't dial down to interest, location. So as Joe mentioned for this event, we targeted people that are interested in tech, small business, IT, that are within a 15-mile radius of this zip code, and we had exposure to 15,322 people and generated approximately 852 clicks. So
Marlena, why were you just chuckling at something that Andrew said?
Well, I mean, it's just fascinating how targeted we can become.
Right.
I was laughing because there's actually a website for targeting college students called Way Up. They used to be called Campus Job. They're one of the up and coming, startup companies of this year. And what they do is they do Facebook advertising, but for basically targeting applicants. So you can say, I need somebody who has a GPA, who's from an Ivy League, who needs da-da-da. And this kind of model is very, very effective.
Everything's on demand now, so people expect, to get something within a day or two. They expect free shipping. If they're not happy, they can go on to, Twitter and do a hashtag fail, whether it's a bank or a restaurant. So the businesses are really listening, believe it or not. If your plane's delayed 2 hours and you hashtag Delta failure, I guarantee you'll get a response. And I just want to add about the targeting. We run a business, as New Yorkers, we all appreciate New York bagels, right? So we run one of our portfolio companies is called Bagel of the Month Club, bagelofthemonth.com. We ship New York bagels all over the country. So we target people that are interested in bagels or foodies that live in Florida, Philadelphia, the Carolinas, and we know east of the Mississippi is more ideal for shipping, and we've shipped thousands and thousands of dozens of bagels through bagelofthemonth.com. So I'm telling you firsthand that it works.
Yeah, I see just stunned faces out here. I'm still back on the bobblehead Mets in Cincinnati. So, if I want to find a Mets fan in Ohio and do it on Facebook by targeting it,
Correct.
How do I pay per click or per sale? How much would it cost?
You have a couple of options, and Facebook will ask you, it's pretty intuitive, what's your goal of advertising? Do you want to get people to your event? Do you want to get clicks to your website? Do you want to get likes to your page? So there's different motives as to why you're doing the advertising, but if it's to sell something like a bobblehead, then you have a choice of paying per click, which I recommend. So every time someone clicks and comes to allbobbleheads.com, we pay, versus by default, they want you to pay per impression. So every time your ad is shown, you get charged, not necessarily clicked. So I'm a big proponent of paying for the click, not paying for the impression.
Yes, everybody up here, remember that. Okay, let's all remember that, because I would think as a layman, I'll pay for an impression. I want all these impressions. Pay per the click, right? Because that means they're at least enough interested to click on it.
Right, so if anyone got 100 clicks but no phone calls, then you can pivot and reiterate and say, what did I do wrong here? Why aren't I getting sales? Why aren't I getting leads? Why isn't my phone ringing? Okay. And then it makes some change.
So I'm paying for a click, Mets fans, Ohio. How much will I pay a click?
$1 to $3.
Ooh, expensive though.
Depends what you're
Yeah,
selling.
targeted.
Well, it depends what, bobbleheads, you in a Mets uniform as a bobblehead is $100. So I'll pay $3 to acquire a customer.
So would somebody who didn't want to pay $1 a click, who would not want, that just sounds high, who would not want to pay $1 a click? Well, if you sell, what?
I guess if you're selling a low price point
A low
item,
price point
under
item,
$5, a plastic tray,
Right.
depends. You can bid lower, but it's supply and demand.
On Facebook as well as an auction?
All bidding platforms, Google AdWords, Facebook, wherever you go, it's bidding.
This is great. Questions. And you want to get the attention of the microphone people, and The first one is right here.
Good morning,
Rayanne
Rayanne
Havasi.
Havasi, Center for Science, Teaching and Learning. Thank you, by the way, Andrew, because as a nonprofit science education organization, we've tended to stay away from clicks and getting parents, but man, you just made me rethink, and we're hiring a new marketing person, and that's going to be
Write
her
down
direction.
Google Grants. If you're a real 501c3,
Yeah,
Google Grants, you'll
yeah.
get free money for clicks.
Yes.
Google Grants.
Yep. But my question is, we just got a grant from Toyota USA Foundation. We're going to be training 100 young people on Long Island in STEM manufacturing skills. We're very excited about it. If you know young people, they can apply, stemmanufacturing.org. If you're a manufacturer, we want to hear from you. What are the skills we need to teach these young people? So I'm going to ask our wonderful panel, particularly Melina, what are the skills in our soft skills section that we want to make sure we teach these young people as they prepare for the new world of STEM, manufacturing, IT? What do we need to make sure we include in this training program for young people?
It's a very interesting question. So I normally, it's funny because manufacturing, I think, is one of the industries I can't meddle with yet, just because it's so physical still, and I preach remote work. But the soft skills are super important, and actually even more important for remote jobs. So I think I can pull from that and tell you about it. So first of all, it's interesting to be asking for the soft skills. I find being able, first of all, to just like be very responsible, right? I think to own your work and to feedback up to your manager when you're unclear on to do something. Like so you gotta at all points know, what am I working on? What are my blockers? Do I need my management to help me? And that's the one piece that any worker, whether it's remote or I think in presence, kind of stumbles on. So that's one thing. I think there's a lot of, especially as you're talking about young people, there's a lot of onboarding about how to present yourself in an interview process that I think is really important on the soft skills. Things like always sending a thank you. I mean, that's like so no-brainer for us, but for the young people, they don't even expect it. They're so used to like this chatting on text. To always come prepared with, to always be inquisitive. That's something that starts with the interview process and continues throughout one career. When you have a question, ask it. It's much better. So many people are afraid of sounding stupid, but it's much better to ask and to know what you don't know than to pretend you know everything. That's like one of my biggest flags. So I'll stop here because I can talk for hours on the topic.
That's great advice. It's great to see your Center for Science and Learning grow over the years here in Long Island. It's a real great public service you provide, Rayanne.
I'd be glad to connect offline to give you, a bigger piece of my curriculum. Yeah.
That's great. Questions? Melina said, if you don't know, ask. There you go. Right here, Lou Geisman.
So I'm a skeptical journalist. I don't necessarily believe that people actually click on these things. I think they're robots. And it's been shown there are lots of probes going on. There's lots of government investigations. How do I know that people are really clicking on those banner ads?
So I'll give you a perfect example. With the bobbleheads, we know when we run on Facebook, we use, and now everyone's going to get a little coupon code, we use FB30. My partners know when an order comes in, FB30, Andrew's magic on Facebook is working. TWT25 is a Twitter coupon, right? My partners will nod their head. Every day, every hour, orders are coming in. So if I spend $100, $200 a day on ads, we see the orders. Now, how does that work if you're not selling a product? If you're insurance or lead generation, use conversion tracking. So I, too, when I had my internet marketing company, we managed $25 million a year of ad spend. I had an answer on a daily basis what the ROI, return on investment, was for the ad spend. So if you're doing lead generation, you can put they'll give you a copy and paste code, so you don't have to program, to put a pixel on your thank you page. So whether you're a limousine guy,
Andrew, I told you to talk 20% slower.
if you have a thank you page, you can copy and paste a tracking code that will then close the loop on your marketing question to say, I paid for 100 clicks, 20 allegedly turned into a lead, you should have 20 leads in your inbox. So you can use conversion tracking to ensure and keep the search engines honest for what you're talking about, which is known as click fraud, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry.
So you then would put a promo code on every ad,
Different channels to track.
right?
Basic marketing.
So that you can tell every single click was legit, because every one of them had a code.
Well, no, not
No.
every code.
No, okay.
Because if I get 100 clicks and 5 orders, what about the other 95 clicks that come into question?
Right.
So you can get into something like Google Analytics, which is free, and I highly recommend if you have a website, you should have Google Analytics on your website. It tells you how much traffic you get, where it comes from city, state, country, what keywords people use to find your website, how much time they spent on your website, what pages they went to on your website. So by analyzing your Google Analytics, trying to speak slow, you could actually see in the Google Analytics if you're getting fraudulent traffic from Romania, from Istanbul. And you would call your Google rep or your advertising rep and say, of 100 clicks, 84 are from Romania, and I want a refund. You have to know what to look for.
I do appreciate that. I'm trying to keep up with this. Yes.
And there are services like Reach Local and various tracking services for people who want to outsource that entire component that then even could record the phone calls coming in for quality assurance.
Adam?
You could also look into affiliate marketing. For us, affiliate marketing is big. Affiliate marketing, we're actually paying for performance. So there are affiliates in a network, whether it's in Linkshare or Commission Junction, where we're not paying for the impression, we're not paying for the click, we're actually giving the referrer a percentage of the sale. So if we sell something, we pay commission on it. If we don't, we don't. And in those scenarios, it's performance.
There's 3 major players, but for this audience, you want to look at shareasale.com. It's basically $600 up front and $50 a month, but it gives you a platform, as Adam explained. We use it. So other people drive sales to you, and you pay them a commission. Share a Sale is the most affordable to get in, and then it's Linkshare and Commission Junction, cj.com, Linkshare, shareasale.com, which I recommend.
Old-fashioned version of an independent sales rep, right? But it's a website, or it could even be a person.
It could be websites. It could be people in social media. It could be, it's people who aggregate content and try to drive the appropriate targeted individuals to a website to make a transaction.
So my 14-year-old, who's an Islanders fan, has an Islanders blog with a banner that says, make yourself into an Islanders bobblehead, right? Who's his dad?
Right.
When they click and buy a bobblehead for $120, my 14-year-old son makes $12. He gets a 10% commission.
Yeah.
That's affiliate marketing.
I took out the garbage. This affiliate share may be an interesting new revenue stream for a lot of people here. Like I'm thinking about the one with the books, and feel free to ask about that revenue share. Maybe you could make more money off your website than you realize by
For some
sharing.
people who are in insurance and you're not really facilitating a transaction on the website, you could pay for a lead if you deem it a qualified lead.
I went to some conference of the big companies, the National Retailers Federation, and they were talking a lot about paying for leads, now that you mention it, paying for leads. Yeah.
Hi, we're in a service business, and our question is, we have doubled in the past year, but our problem is that we are not very adept at social media. And we, at one point, hired someone to help us with social media. Unfortunately, she was in Atlanta. It didn't work out. We needed someone local. Is it wise for us to actually spend the money, and you all are so much more adept at this than we are? Should we be doing that? I mean, it would be great if we could do it ourselves. We don't have the time, and we're trying now to expand to a Florida business as well, and we're hiring people here on Long Island. You know, is that the right way to go? Because we think we actually stage houses, and it has finally come to Long Island, and we're number one, yay. But we need that impetus to really grow, and to grow quickly, so that the competition doesn't catch us. They're at our heels.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
Great question.
She's in a great business that
Wow.
you can use images You know, and I would say, honestly, you're probably better off hiring someone and keeping them on staff. Because if you pay an agency $3,000 to $5,000 a month versus hiring somebody for $35,000 to $45,000 a year that's focused on just your business and not other clients working in your Long Island office and for your Florida growth, if you're doing staging of houses, that's perfect imagery and content for Instagram and Facebook, and you can keep somebody busy, not just 3 hours, 2 hours a day for a retainer.
Milena, she hired the woman in Atlanta. Maybe in this case it doesn't work, or what's your thought, Milena?
Well, I mean, you got to know how to work with people remotely too.
Yeah.
So, and also the person you're working with has to produce really quality work. That's one of our mottos. Is that obviously, you know, this is not just like a charity supporting moms. You got to get your work done.
Correct.
You know, so I don't know. I got to drill in more into the cases, but we certainly, you know, we have. A social media strategy is actually working from North Carolina for one of the most innovative companies in Washington, D.C. You know, story of a Dartmouth grad with an MBA who ended up moving to the North Carolinas to follow a job that her husband got and ended up being stuck with her only option being selling Mary Kay and type of products. And so it was really interesting that when we connected her to Trove, now she's working from her home as a social media strategist.
And
so I don't know, maybe we can help you, but if you want to stay local, that's up to you.
And I think you told me you bring your own remote employees together once or twice a year in person, right?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. So we have 55 employees, 22 are in the US and 33 are abroad. And so as I said, not just the tech team, but the whole organization is distributed remote. What we do is we do mini team retreats. So when the talent management team gets together and has to chart out the strategy, when the senior management team wants to get together, and then once a year we bring the whole company together on an offsite retreat. It's really interesting. We then drop all the operational work off the table. We've purely focused on getting to know each other and some strategy for the year ahead in kind of an offsite setting. But it melds us together and then, you know, off you go. Another thing I'd use for a small company, which is mostly on-site, and if you have like 1 or 2 remote employees, I'd recommend bringing them in for a kickoff for, you know, 1 to 4 weeks, and then potentially bringing them in every couple of months to like renew the relationship.
Had you ever met this person in Atlanta even once? Yeah, you had met.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
came to work
Yeah.
with us. She had another client
Yeah,
on
fine.
Long Island.
Interesting. Yes, Jonathan, have someone over here? Right here.
Yes, right here. My question is for you. You sell, yes.
Adam, yeah.
I have a business and it's predominantly online. It's an online boutique web shop for women. And I have a huge following on Instagram, Twitter, like Facebook, all of that. I'm really good with social media and everything, but think it just picked up too fast, like kind of like really fast. So
Good for you.
my thing is getting the orders out. What is the fastest method of shipment you use? Because you ship out 14,000 orders a day, and I can imagine that's like overwhelming because it's overwhelming for me. So getting the orders out, and I get so many international orders, like things like in that nature. So I want to know like what type of shipping methods you use and your, yeah.
Congratulations, first of all.
Yes.
At PharmaPacks, we use several methods, and we've created a system digitally that determines the weight, the destination, the zone to determine which shipping carrier we're going to use. So if it's 16 ounces or less, we're going to do it one way. If it's a pound to 2 pounds, we're going to go one way, et cetera. We use people, and we actually just started bringing in automation. We have 3 machines coming in that can increase the pace in which we're able to get products out at a very fast pace. I mean, we're doing this right now with 2 shifts. We have the ability to go to 3 shifts. Last year we were working out of a 3,500 square foot place, and we did 30 million. We just moved into a 20,000 square foot place 7 months ago. Then we quickly had to take another 10,000 square feet, and we're adding people, we're adding machines, and we have the intelligence, and our CFO is constantly meeting with UPS, the United States Postal Service, negotiating rates down to the ounce, down to the increment, working on rebates. And I don't know how many people you have working for you. So if you're trying to do everything, if it's just you, it's just you.
Well, it basically just me and my sisters that help me. They go to school though now, so it's kind of like just me.
I would say that if it's clothing or something that you could fit in a flat box.
No,
you
I
do
do.
flat
We
fives
do
and things
good.
like
The
that.
post office is across the street from my office and everything. It's not. It's just that like now it's like I have to get the orders out at a faster pace because I'm getting more orders, and then it's more people emailing me, asking me, like, you know. So it's kind of like.
It's a good problem.
You have to hire.
And it's. I'm sorry. You said it's fashion. It's what's the product again?
Yes, it's fashion clothing, women's shoes, clothing. My
You-
website.
You design and manufacture the clothing?
Well, I designed some of the stuff and gave manufacture, but mostly I started off with wholesale and break it down in buying and selling. And it's fashionablychic.com. And it F-A fashion and B-L-Y chic, C-H-I-C.com. And my Instagram is fashionably_chic. I don't know if you guys can remember it, but
But
it's
I just have a question.
she needs a mentor or an investor or something, right? She's getting a lot of business. I mean, this.
That's what
Any
Launchpad.
thoughts for her? It's what Launchpad.
Come to Launchpad. If you're
Come-
on Long Island, come to Launchpad. LaunchpadLI.com. Launchpad.
You just need some resources and some help because you're up and running, and you, as everyone says, it's a good problem, and some of the people here may be able to help you. Yeah. Just wave your hands at those people because I'll ask questions if you don't, and I want you to.
Okay. All right. Andrew or Adam? I'm not sure the name. The last guy. Yes.
Andrew.
Okay. So this is I'm Winslow Edwards, by the way.
Hi,
and
Winslow.
Yes, I met online. I do a custom hand-painted glassware and gift company.
Yes.
And I have been trying at Facebook ads for a while. I haven't been quite successful. Recently, I was told that one of the ways to kind of test your mark is to do PPE posts or ads. PPE ads.
PPE?
Which is post-page engagement ads, as opposed to the website conversion ads. So that way, it's a way of testing your niche and your target audience to see the response that you get towards your products.
Okay.
I have mastered the PPP in terms of I'd put an ad out there, I would get page likes, I'll get comments, I'll get shares. The problem I'm having is how to transition from the PPP into a conversion ad.
So
Because
basically,
there's interest, but
right.
now how
are you
do I...
selling, Are you selling any products? So I remember seeing your products on the Facebook page. They're
Right.
hand-painted glasses.
Right.
And they look great. Are you having any sales? Because I'm trying to determine
Yes,
who you
I have sales, but
Okay.
I just need to have more sales.
Right. The
basically.
ads, and I don't know if the people...
You just gave us the title for the next breakfast. I have sales, I just need more sales.
I would love to have her problem.
Are you using the targeting to actually target, I would imagine looking at your product briefly, your market is probably female,
Yes.
maybe 30 to 60. Are you using
They're
those?
between 25 to 54. It's a wide range.
Are you
basically.
using the filters to target your ads in front of those, in front of that audience?
When you say filters, I'm not
So when you go into Facebook, and those of you that use it, you can when you post something, you can click boost this post.
Okay.
I actually recommend don't doing that.
No, so I don't do I do the
Okay.
boost sometimes, but then I go in and actually do a PPE post.
Okay, but
as opposed to the boost.
And I'm not, unless Adam maybe know, but PPE, I'm thinking you're just going into the regular Facebook ads. You click on Ad Manager and you create
Yes.
an ad.
So I create it from inside
Yep.
of the Power Editor.
Okay.
And I create I say the type of post as opposed to I could do website clicks, I could do conversion.
Right.
I could do the PPE.
So you want to draw people. You said you're getting likes and shares. You
Yeah,
want to
so-
drive people to your website.
All right, you guys, take
Absolutely.
this outside. First time I've ever said that, one of these. I'm also pleased to announce that our next breakfast will be in English. Anybody have a question about how to boost sales other than PPE? over this side of the room. Daniel, you used a great question, and I think you said look for opportunities downstream. And we had done the story a lot of times saying look for parallel markets, adjacent markets, something that is in conjunction but not competition to you. And I was struck that you were the first one I ever heard say, look not sideways, look downstream. What did you mean? For instance, in your business or something connected with healthcare, what are the opportunities that you see downstream?
So for us, for example, we had started out primarily servicing individual people living in the community as patients. And we quickly became aware of the growing need for transitional care programs, services that enable people to transition out of the hospital back to the community without bouncing back to the hospital. Medicare has a tremendous push right now to incentivize hospitals, both with penalties and financial incentives, to reduce their 30-day readmission rate. We have found ourselves uniquely positioned to assist in that type of program by enabling patients to be discharged from an acute care hospital, provide them with home-based care services that facilitate them to access the care they need when they need it post-discharge. That's an example of something that's downstream from what our initial mission was. We championed the initial cause and then found other opportunities, as I described as downstream, to provide those services.
See, that's a great textbook example, though, because from treating the homebound, the business evolved into preventing people from becoming homebound.
Correct.
Jeff, you have a question?
So how do your doctors get paid? If it's not going through, is it going through insurance? Is it not going through insurance? Because you have doctors that are going to people's houses.
Correct. It's always going through the insurance. Both the hospitals and the insurance companies are aligned in their incentives to reduce hospital admissions and readmissions. The insurance companies want more of the global admissions to be done away with and avoided. But hospitals specifically are aligned in the goal of reducing readmissions because hospitals now, as part of the Affordable Care Act, are not paid for readmissions. So it used to be until 3 years ago that a patient who came back within 24 hours of a discharge would not be counted as another admission and would therefore not be paid. Now that's been expanded out to 30 days. So patients who are readmitted within 30 days are not, that admission, that second admission is not counted as another admission in terms of the compensation for the hospital. It's a big problem in the United States is providing patients with the necessary care and the tools to avoid subsequent hospital readmissions. One in 5 patients in the United States is currently being readmitted, so it's a challenge.
There are a lot of contacts to be made afterwards in this room. We've only got about 20 minutes left, so I want to hear your questions, so raise your hands. Adam, I'm interested, though, in this affiliate program, and it just started to click in today. So is it the case that almost anybody in this room with a website could become an affiliate marketer for almost anybody larger in their industry and get paid?
Yes.
Just say a little bit more about that, because if I have a website, I'm in the news business, I'm trying to run my website. I mean, is there money that I'm leaving on the table
Absolutely.
by not being an affiliate of
Absolutely.
someone else?
Yeah, look at who your audience is, who you're serving, and think about what non-competing or what ancillary product you can offer. Sometimes it's an ebook, sometimes it's a physical product.
And then how would you find that ebook person to become an affiliate of?
So you're basically a publisher. So you go to like shareasale.com.
Shareasale.com.
Sign up as a publisher, and then you go through its categories: apparel, auto, business, telecommunications, and you look for deals or opportunities to serve on your website or in your email newsletters or however you want to put it out through that platform.
And people will also come to you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can look for them, but they'll also find you.
The
and
bottom
wanna
of your
join
website,
network.
yeah, you should have an affiliate link on your website so people can sign up for your affiliate program.
And also, you don't want to cannibalize your own margins, because you don't need to. You can make sure that you're not paying an affiliate and paying search engine marketing. There are people that try to double dip, and there's policing that goes along with it to make sure that you're not paying twice.
But this strikes me as really a way, if I understand correctly, to empower your website to do more business for you. And I hadn't, I'd heard this term, but I never really understood it till you started to explain it today. Interesting. Yes, right here. Hi.
As a consumer, I kind of stay away from the Google AdWords stuff. I feel I'd rather find organically. What's your opinion about the strategy and where you should spend your money, the organic versus the Google AdWords?
You know, again, it depends on the business. I guess you're in a service technology business. So, you know, I feel as though you need to be in both places. I'm a big proponent of organic search, so not paying the search engines, but the proof is in the pudding. You know, Google, 90% of their revenue is derived from paid search. And if you're using it, as we discussed earlier, to track it effectively, it works. So you can't spend blindly, but they do say that 80% of search traffic comes organically, and that's within the first 8 results of a search landing page. So there's 10 results on a page. If you're not on the first page organically, you're missing a lot.
Questions?
There are tools, analytic tools. You could use Google Analytics. You could use a service like Reach Local that's tracking and they're testing. When you're position 1, what's your response rate? When you're position 2, what's your response rate? When you're on the side, what's your response rate? So those are what I have found to be very valuable tools as well.
You want to get the attention of the people with the microphones, but I see you. Go ahead over there. Yep.
Who is legitimate to
great
work
question.
with?
What-
Because
yeah,
these
good
people
one.
are coming to me,
Yeah.
and I just hang up.
That's it.
But they're saying, you know, my website is not on the front page.
People.
You got to do your due diligence. I mean, that's why, quite honestly, I sold my company when I did, because everyone was doing it. So it's really tough to qualify. Ask for results, ask to speak to their customers, look at their agreements, make sure you own what they're doing for you. I've seen people lease it, and then when they stop paying, it's taken away from them. But it's a very difficult question, because even the websites that review the search engine companies, you pay to get on that list. So if I'm rated as a #1 guy on best SEOs, I'm paying to be #1, and that's not fair to you.
You sold a company just because there were too many competitors, essentially?
I got out when the time was right.
Good one. Never thought of that.
But I sold it twice.
You know, that reminds me, though, on Wall Street, you know, a head trader used to tell me that what he always told his people, the most important thing about trading stock on Wall Street was to know what you're going to do with the money next. And that's a strategy with businesses. I mean, if you didn't know, had no idea what you might do next, you might have been less likely to sell that business. I'm just guessing. No, doesn't apply. So you sold it, and then what did you do?
Started doing bobbleheads and bagels
So you did.
and
You-
Launchpad. But I didn't know what I was going to do when I left.
Did you do it pretty quickly, or take some time?
Within
off?
3 months.
That was one question I was going to ask. Has anybody here recently bought a competitor or sold their business or done a deal or sold a part of their business? Yes, over here.
Yeah, I acquired another ground transportation company. They were looking to get out. They were older, and they didn't want to do it anymore. So I was able to get a really good deal.
Good for you. And you're in the trucking business?
Limousines and ground transportation.
Right. And that's how it usually happens. Someone wants to get out, you got a good deal. Good for you. What's the name of your company?
Ultimate class limousine and ground transportation worldwide.
He's got a car in Toronto. No. Nice. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I think another point is to also focus on mobile. Make sure that your websites are able to be viewed on mobile phones. And also when you're doing paid search, you need to pay to be searchable on mobile as well. So you need to, and these days everybody's walking around with their phones, and you know, our children are going to grow up, are going to not know a world without the phone and the computers and having everything instantaneously. So you need to be there and be able to be reached, have your products available for purchase or information available to read.
We're going to wrap it up pretty soon because I have a sense that there's a lot of people who want to meet here, and actually there's some very detailed discussion. So I don't want to force it if we don't have any more questions, but go ahead.
This is more from a business management standpoint for maybe a plug to the folks in the insurance industry. How often with your growth and everything that you've got going on with your businesses, maybe for each of you on the panel, do you revisit with your insurance company, your agents, or what have you to discuss, do you have the appropriate things for your business nowadays?
We do at PharmaPacks. We're constantly speaking with all of our partners and vendors. We're always looking to optimize everything, save a penny, literally relook at our services on a daily basis. We're, from our suppliers to our vendors, every day, every week, and I'm not exaggerating. We're constantly on it.
This is a good one because a very common question at these breakfasts is how do I get bigger clients? So to each of the panelists, if some vendor in insurance or whatever it is trying to get through to you, what makes you pick up the phone and talk to somebody and not slough them up? How does somebody get through to you? Or maybe you just take all incoming calls, I don't know.
A referral?
Using someone else's
Referral.
name, right. So-and-so told me to call you, that still works.
I gotta have the business need, right? Like, it's gotta be on my radar that I need to find a better, insurance provider. Like, I wouldn't just take the call deal, because I don't have the
It's
time.
gotta be, but if someone
Yeah.
is selling a faster server or something, or whatever it would be.
Referral is definitely important. I
Referral.
will say that I very much appreciate the people that were willing to meet with me when I was starting my business, and I try to have that perspective when I hear people either starting a new business or just looking to have coffee and discuss what they're doing. So I try to have a low threshold, but a referral is definitely helpful.
That's a good one. Andrew?
I mean, I do take a lot of calls because of Launchpad, so I speak with a lot of entrepreneurs and early stage companies. I just try to vet them out very quickly and find out what the real solution is that they're solving and see if I can help them.
I'm going to end it there unless anyone else has any other, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, we're happy to go till 10 o'clock, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Krishna. I'm a family physician. And first time I'm putting my head out of the EMR. We were told that the doctors need a business degree and IT degree these days to be successful. So what is the panel's perspective that what are the skills we need to look at the people, because zip codes matter more than the genetic codes nowadays to keep their health better. So what are the things we can do to see that we can reach out to the population and see that they're more healthy?
I'm not clear on what the question is.
These days, the physician, we are submerged.
You're a
in
doctor.
Yeah, I'm a
Yes,
physician.
okay.
We are submerged in the EMR, that is the electronic health records, not looking at the patients as the real patients. So what are the skills we need to embrace the technology and the business skills, but at the same time take care of the people?
Right, okay.
So heads up is definitely important. I think I was recently at my own physician, and I don't think he looked at me once. He was really looking down the whole time. Okay, nice to see you. So looking up and really engaging the patient as much as possible, I think, is important. We live in an era where 50% of medical practices are now owned by hospitals. So it is becoming an increasing challenge to focus your attention exclusively on the patient, because in healthcare, it's very well known that if you don't document it, it never happened. So it's really a balance between the two, but keeping your head up, even if it means jotting down a note on a piece of paper and then being able to put it into your EMR, I think personally that goes a long way. In our practices, we developed our own technology platform to facilitate our providers to focus their attention exclusively on a patient without being inhibited by the technologies that the government is really impressing upon physicians to do. So looking for opportunities like look up, deal with the patient as much as possible face to face, and then document. While it is a time crunch, I think that really is at the core of being able to enhance the patient care and quality of care while still managing the documentation requirements.
Daniel, did you hire developers to develop that proprietary software, or did your employees do it? How did you do that?
So it happens to be my father is a technology engineer, and we have a team of programmers who work for us, both in the office and outside, who develop the programs.
And you could sell that someday, right?
So we
To some
could,
big
we have,
insurance
it's
co-
unique in
a
the
hospital.
requirements. When we're going to see people at home, we need to consider variables that an office-based provider would not care about, like where the patient lives. If everybody's coming to me, then I don't need to know where you are. Because we're seeing people at home, we need to be able to route our providers with the most efficient and effective means. So that's one component that really drove our necessity. Also, internet was another big challenge, that most electronic medical records rely on the fact that you're in a traditional network environment. And even though 4G and cellular data services are very available now, it's still a challenge to manage the large amounts of data that are both written and needed during a visit.
And if you enjoy it, try to go to more business meetings. In the last 2 or 3 years since National Health Insurance, we've had a lot more doctors and dentists and medical people come to these breakfasts. When they started to come, I asked them why. I said, gee, I don't think we never used to have any doctors here. And they would all say, because I have to learn how to be more entrepreneurial. It's always the answer they give. And just by going to business meetings, I used to cover politics and sports. I started to cover business news by saying, gee, wow, these are interesting business meetings. And I see that happening in healthcare. Same thing in education. We're starting to have school administrators and people in education come to these business breakfasts because they too are trying to become more entrepreneurial. And then you decide whether this is interesting to you or not. A couple more? Yeah, right here. Yes, yes.
What you say is very interesting. I'm a healthcare provider as well. I've always run a busy wellness office here on Long Island in my town, the biggest practice. It was all wonderful and great until I decided to partner with somebody, so I advise against that. But yeah, and there's a certain
Got
amount to
that.
be said about your own ownership of your own place and having full control over everything that goes on. In a partnership, that doesn't necessarily happen. But my interest is in the service that you provide, Daniel, because more and more, I've been practicing 25 years, and more healthcare providers are disenchanted with the baloney of insurance reimbursement. There are tactics to deny or delay your claims and all the paperwork that has to go with it. So it's attractive to healthcare providers to be acquired by a hospital or by an organization such as yours. And if you're talking about preventative care and keeping people healthy, I'm a chiropractor. You're talking about chiropractic, you're talking about nutrition, and if you don't have that in your providership, then that's something that you would really want to look into. You know, it's reimbursable too. But we don't necessarily want to deal with the new ICD-10 codes that came out October 1st, right?
What's your question now? What's your question?
My question is, do you own the providers, your nurses, your well, I guess you have physicians, MDs, and DOs. I don't know if you have chiropractors yet, but do you own them, and do you provide them benefits and like their regular employer?
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, we have both full-time and part-time employed physicians and independent contractors as well. It is a broad spectrum of needs that people have in their homes. Nutrition is certainly one of them. Insurance companies are a challenge for most providers. It's a challenge that providers face in being inhibited by their ability to exclusively focus on a patient and take that holistic approach to them when you're bogged down and inhibited by ICD-10 trying to figure out the right code for. Some of them are just hilarious, like bitten by duck, first encounter.
Bitten by duck.
If somebody falls off a water sport, which was it a boat? Was it a? It's humorous.
So you do this for the providers?
We assist them in coding compliance, which is a necessary component.
How do you assist them? They give it to you to do?
So in our customized EMR that we built, there's a tool that.
And do they work for you? She asked. Do they work for you?
They work for
the
us,
doctors.
correct.
The providers work for him.
Correct.
Just got a couple more minutes. Speak up. Yes, woman over here wants to speak.
This is regarding Instagram. So
Instagram.
I just started 2 weeks ago, and I'm crazy about Instagram. It's great. But do you see Instagram as being a good format or platform for B2B? Because I do both commercial and residential interior design. So I'm looking to reach business people, right, and developers. So, if it is a good platform, what's the best way to get followers? And then how do you convert followers to actual clients on that?
I definitely think it's more business to consumer versus B2B, just based on the user base of who Instagram's users are. But the fact that you're, again, a visual business, you can use it to portray both. How would you build your followers? Using hashtags. So if you're not familiar with hashtags, which are the pound signs, you can actually, so you do interior, what was your design? So if you went into Instagram and you started doing a search for other photos with interior design, you'll start to see results show up with numbers next to them, how many pictures are posted. Look for ones that have millions and use those hashtags in your posts if they make sense, and you'll start to build your followers. And then second part of your question, how do you convert them? You have to engage people. You can't just be always asking for the sale. It can't be salesy. So you have to engage with either, paying it forward, being a thought leader, asking for engagement, looking for questions, becoming the expert in the area. But engaging them is an art, and you have to listen. You can't always speak, and a lot of people just like to speak, and they don't like to listen on the social platforms.
And I guess, we end up with the talk about a personal referral is what gets these fast-growing business owners on the phone when they say, somebody told me to call you. So with all this technology and PPE and everything else, it still comes down to Joe Connolly told me to call. Over here, it still comes down to you can't be selling all the time. You got to be a thought leader or an opinion leader. And I'll just close by referring to a young marketing woman who I met here before the breakfast began. And she's the new marketing person, communications person. And I said to her, how do you do most of your marketing? And I'm thinking she's going to say Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is. And she said, personal appearances. Our business, I'm looking for them, I can't find them. We go out and talk to audiences right back here. It's a CPA firm, right? Stand up. Law firm. And they go out and talk to clients in person, and that's the main way that she is getting new business for her boss as a marketing person. So on that note, thank you for coming and talking very much, and go get them.